Okay. This is just a short video that you're watching to kind of end today about the short story. You guys should have talked it out, and I'm going to either add or build on what you probably already talked about, or give you some new insight that maybe you haven't thought about. So, first is, hopefully you guys talked about the title, especially because the title appears as some dialogue later on, and I think thinking about that title will help you better understand the characters, especially the grandma and the misfit. You have this scene where the grandma is talking to these people at this little diner, and she's talking about, a good man is hard to find. And I think my opinion is a good man is hard to find, and it's ironic and hypocrisy that the grandma's talking about this because she herself is not a good man. I mean, she's a woman, but everything that she is advocating for, she herself does not do. It's a big, huge hypocrisy. For instance, the way that she interacts with her grandchildren just shows that she's not, a nice lady. Then you have very interesting juxtaposition. You literally have her do one thing and then say another. For instance, when she is talking about, it's on page 2 at the bottom, she says, children were more respectful of their native states and their parents and everything else. People did right then. Oh, look at the cute little pickaninny. All right? Right there. Oh my gosh. If you guys don't know what a pickaninny is, it is a very derogatory term for a black person. And so right now, within an instant of each other, she is saying, well, this is what you're supposed to do, but here she is not even following through her own advice. The fact that she has to dress up so beautifully. On page 2, you have her wearing her white cotton gloves. She's wearing her hat. You even have a scene at the end where she's facing the barrel of the gun from the misfit, and she's still fixing her hat. She's way too concerned with the presentation of being a lady, but she herself never acts like a lady. And you can't preach to other people about these sort of things if you yourself don't practice it. You see this once again with her calling out to Jesus and praying. It reminds you of people who use religion as a last resort or when they really need it. So she starts screaming about praying and Jesus will help you, which once again is hypocrisy. And then you have her saying, it's on page 12, Jesus, Jesus, meaning Jesus will help you, but the way she was saying it, it sounded as if she were cursing. So she's not calling for Jesus for aid. Once again, you see it's a very different, very contradictory response. And the biggest thing that proves she's not a lady is in the end of this story, she never once begs for the life of the children or for her son or for his wife. She only talks about herself. Sorry, I get very passionate about this story just because it's so ironic and twisted. And I think it's interesting, the ending, where the misfit saves her for last because really she deserves to be killed last because she has no kind of regard for the life around her. And, nobody wants to die, but a true good person would say, spare my children, spare my grandchildren, spare the baby, all right? And yet here she is, you wouldn't kill a lady. And so you just see the whole hypocrisy of her demeanor. And yes, it says a good man is hard to find, but I don't think this is just about men. This is just about good people. And you see the same thing with the children. The children are nasty, evil little brats. They're already so young, and yet they're so corrupt. So I think the title is really important. Some things I think after reading Foster is the idea of going south. This whole situation takes place because they were going south. And then you have the very ironic turn right before the car accident where the grandma realizes that in her very selfish pursuit to go to Tennessee or to go do this side trip, it causes the car accident, which thus leads them to getting, attacked by the misfit. So I think it's interesting that they had to go south, and when you go south, things go amok, definitely. I also think it's interesting, what do I want to talk about here? The illusion, where she says, gone with the wind. I thought that was kind of a funny line, because that's related to a movie, so that's kind of crucial illusion. I think there's also quite a bit of foreshadow in this. For instance, the hearse-like car, that's obvious foreshadow, because it's their death. But then she talks about, ooh, look at the graveyard. The cat, Everybody, when we talk about who's to blame here, everybody's like, it's the cat's fault. No, it's the grandma's fault because she had to selfishly bring the cat. I mean, the grandma's just a very selfish, very flawed character, and it definitely comes to bite her in the butt. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really stood out to me. The misfit, a lot of people say he's an evil person. I mean, yes, he is evil. He killed people, but the interesting thing about his character first is he's got a very colloquial language choice. What I mean by that is on page 9 he says, "I appreciate that lady." And if you look at the word appreciate and the way it's spelled as if it were somebody from the South. That's colloquial. It is on your tone vocab, and it's just a very kind of focused on dialect, very kind of old or very geographical way to talk. And so I think his character is really interesting because it uses colloquialism. I also think he's an anti-Jesus figure if you think about Foster, not just because he's killing people. I mean, that's the obvious thing, but the fact children make him nervous, and Jesus was good with children. And I think the mention of Jesus, maybe he is the only good man that you could find, but maybe he set that standard so high. Maybe that's what the misfit is arguing, is that the standard for a good man has been established so high by Jesus that no human can get to it, especially because he talks about Jesus offsetting the balance. And then, like I said, the misfit, he's evil, but at the same time, he's bringing to light the hypocrisies of humanity. And I don't think he enjoyed killing those people, because he says there's no real pleasure in life. Those last few sentences here, she would have been a good woman. I mean, he really does see that the old lady is not a good person. And the thing is, he takes it upon himself to make the judgment, which is wrong. But he's making the judgment through the literature for us to see. And I think that's pretty much everything I came up with. We always get into a big debate about the monkey. Some people think it has more symbolic meaning. Some people say, well, the monkey is maybe a representation of humanity. Also, the monkey, chaining up a monkey once again shows that humanity is not all that it's cracked up to be. So that is a good man. It's hard to find. It could definitely be a great piece of literature to do for the Foster paper. And if you guys could tell me some Foster paper ideas to close out, you guys are done for today.